Good afternoon, YouTube. I'm going to repot my streptocupus. I don't think they're that happy in these clay pots, so I thought, oh well, time for a change. I found some of these coloured pots that I can use, and I mean, these are dead shape and they're really convenient sizes. So I'm going to put them in there. So as you can see, they're a bit floppy at the moment because that's the best time to repot them. When they're, needing watering, because then I can give them a good watering in. So I'm just going to give them a general tidy up. I took a lot of the old skanky leaves off last week, and I thought, well, now's the time to repot. So it looks like I've got two in here actually. Looks like this one's an old one. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see in there? It looks like it's two plants, but I'm going to plant it in one pot because streptos really like to have their roots constricted. They don't like having lots of room in a pot. So take the label out, and I'll just go over in here. I've got 2 parts of peat, 2 parts of potting mix or compost, whatever you call it, and 2 and 1.5 pots of perlite and 1/2 pot of vermiculite. So I'll go over that again. So 1/2 pot of vermiculite, 1.5 pots of perlite, 2 compost or potting mix, and 2 peat. So I just sort of quickly looked up on the internet what's the best mix really, and that seemed to be the best option because there are different ones. So I'm going to put the old stuff in here. I'm going to remove the pot. Let's see what we're looking at. Oh, it came out easy. So clean those pots up and use them for something else. So I'm going to just take off the worst of the bits and pieces here. I've got lots of new leaves coming underneath, but I've got lots of the old sort of stubs, if you like, little pieces of leaf, and I'm just going to pull them off as best I can. And these bits here, because you don't want them in there really. There you go. This is where you can break the plant, but if you just be careful, and I tend to just use my nail as best I can to get rid of them, and give my little tidy up. So I think that's more or less it. So as you can see, they didn't really grow a lot of root system from where I planted them up originally. So they don't grow masses of root, I don't think. I think they tend to put on quite a bit of growth at the top. So I tidied up the tops of them last week. So this week it's time for the repotting. I always make a face when I'm pulling bits out. So anyway, that'll do for now. There's a big bit there. That'll do for now, so I'm going to repot that one. So shake the rest of it off, and just there. So the colour of this one, I'm going to try and match the pots to the colour, is magenta. So magenta. I've got a lot of green pots and I've got some purple ones, so I'm going to go with the purple. In the bottom of the pot, I'm just going to put some of this gravel, which I've just collected from my pathway. I'm quite lucky, don't have to go out and buy anything specific. I can just put some of this in the bottom, and it's literally just a layer in the bottom just to cover up the holes so we don't lose the potting mix. And then a bit of potting mix in the bottom, plant in, that's about right, and then just backfill. Fairly easy process. I'm not putting any slow release fertilizer or anything in these. I prefer to fertilize them myself because I've got specialist fertilizer for these, or for violets, which is the same because they're the same family. And yeah, so there we go. So that's one done, no time at all. So there we go. So that's one. So I'll just quickly do another one. Oh, and put the label in. I tend to forget that sometimes, and then I get stuck with a load of labels and I don't know which ones are which until they flower. So always remember to put your label in. So that's that one up there. So the next one is a pale pink, dark pink centre. So I think that calls for a pink pot. Let me just get rid of that a minute in there. There we go. So we've only got one pink pot, so we might as well put that pink one in it. And a layer of things in the bottom. Take the pine needles out. See what sort of roots we're dealing with this one. So take the labels out. Let's have a look. I've purposely, I think I said that, I purposely let them dry out so it makes it a lot easier for repotting. They come out of their pot, look at that, like, it just falls out of the pot, so easy. I'm very short of these pots, clay pots actually, for my orchids, so they'll come in very handy. So just clean it up a little bit, just take off the old spikes and the old leaf bases, and see, again, not a huge root system for, you know, the size of the pot. So I'm probably, like I say, I could have probably put them in a smaller pot, but I didn't have one. So so take that leaf off. I think they're fairly forgiving, you know, when you pull the leaves off and stuff. They are a reasonably forgiving plant, so, which is just as well, because I am a little bit clumsy sometimes. So put some potting mix in the bottom, and then put the plant in and back. So these, like I say, firm them down. Whoops, I've just broke the leaf, so it doesn't matter, just throw it away. They don't, you know, they're not too bad. You can cut the leaves if you've got marks on them, and they're quite forgiving for that, I found. Actually, I'll take that leaf off, it'll look better without it anyway now. So there you go. Hopefully you saw that and I wasn't holding it out of your way. There we go. So that's not too deep in the pot. So there, and put the label back in. And that's it. That's the second one done. So I've already done one. I've got about another, I think I've got 10 or 11 of them all together. So I'm going to go ahead and plant them all up, and I'll show you them afterwards when I finish them. Right, so here we are then. I've potted them all on. So I've done them all in hopefully matching pots. So they've had a good watering, and you can see they're starting to get a bit more firmer in their leaves. I've only just given them some water, so by tomorrow these leaves will be far more perkier than what they are now. So that's those done. So I ended up doing 5, 10, 11 of them, so all 11 of them are there, so that's good. And just wanted to mention the violets while I'm here. The violets are doing really, really well. They're all looking really perky, especially this one. Can you see how the leaves are very upright? Now, I don't know if that is because it's you know, stretching for the light, or whether it's just really happy out here and it's enjoying its new environment. This leaf's going, this flower's going over now, but there's new flowers coming. So, you know, it's they just all seem to be doing well, especially this double sort of burgundy one. So yeah, they're all really perking up nicely, so I'm quite pleased with them, especially this gorgeous sort of double pink, sort of double different colour, you know, with the long flower stems on it. That one's looking exceptional, and the trailing one's doing well behind. And then you've got, you know, all the ones up above here that are doing really well. So I'm hoping that the violets are really going to pick up now. I mean, obviously we've only, well, spring officially starts on the 23rd weekend, or the 23rd, 24th here. But, you know, when you talk about spring, for me, you know, spring is September, October and November, and then December, January, February is summer. And then March, April, May is autumn, and then June, July, August is winter. So so in New Zealand, in this part of the world. So so officially I'm thinking, well, yes, it's spring. So this lot should be flowering soon. So yeah, so I'm hoping they'll come away. So I definitely think these two sort of lights, although they're not very pretty out here, they, you know, I think they are sort of doing the job as far as giving them enough light. And they're definitely getting enough light up the top here because they're just up below the, you know, the fluorescent bulbs. Okay, so that's it. It's getting late. I'm feeling a bit tired. I've been at it all day today, so I'm going to go in now. Oh, one other thing. I did, in the end, I thought I've virtually given up on these begonia rexes. This is the 5 that I had. One of them was completely dead. I could see that it was completely dead, so I got rid of that. These 5 have still got quite a hard centre and sort of like a... oh, I don't know how you describe it. It's like a... yeah. But it's not, you know, it's not dead. It's sort of quite a hard sort of bits and pieces on it. And I'm hoping that the rexes are going to shoot from those. I've just given them a little bit of water today. And I've thought, oh, you know, I'm sick of looking at those ugly things in the house. So I brought them out here. And these ones that I bought just not long ago were going the same way. So I've tidied that one up and left a few leaves on it and brought that one out and that one there as well. And you see the ones behind, those rexes have done okay. And they've been out here all winter. So, sorry rexes, you're out here from now on. You obviously don't like it in the house. You see those claviers? Oh, aren't they just gorgeous? Anyway. Right, so another thing that I think needs to be potting now is my amaryllis. They're not, well, they have actually got stuff coming on them. I'll show you in a minute when I get it out the pot. But they've been in these pots since I bought them, which is 2 years, and I think it's time for some fresh mix. So all I've got in here is what was left over from the streptocupus. And all I've done is added a bit more potting mix compost to it, and then I've added a handful of slow release fertilizer because they do need good feed. You know, you imagine all that energy that's got to come out of that bulb to grow up, produce those big strapping leaves and that great big flower, or 2 in some cases on the bigger bulbs. And then once they finish flowering, you know, they do need that feed and energy to go back into the bulb for the following year. So that's the mix. So let's have a look in here. So I haven't taken these out for a couple of years, and it feels quite crunchy actually. This is another thing that needs to be quite snug in the pot, because quite a few roots at the bottom. Can you see that? So I'll sort of release them a little bit. Try not to break them too much, but sometimes it just can't be helped. And tease it out of the pot gently. Wow, look at that. That's quite a bit of potting mix in there. So I'm going to take quite a bit off, and I'm going to take off the old sort of this flaky stuff as well. Not loads of it, but most of it. Get it away from the plants, because I don't think it needs to be on there. And sort of tease it down as best I can. Get rid of all the old soil. It looks like this one's really grown, so the roots have gone up into the pot rather than gone down. Hello, Ruby. So if we can get a lot of this soil out, it'll be good. I have got a little, oh here we are. You can always use one of these to sort of poke at it and get rid of the soil. So it doesn't matter if a few of the roots come away, just be careful not to damage the bulb. Hubby's in the picture there. I don't think he realised I was filming. So gradually getting it out, giving it a good release. Takes a bit of time, so just take your time, gradually release it. I wonder if that's an indication of the colour that the bulb's going to be, because you know, this is a red one, and that's got quite a red discoloration on the bulb there. My husband's picked up the dog. Oh yes, there he is. He's being silly. So there we go. So I think that's about it really. I mean, try and tease some more of the roots downwards rather than up around the edges of the pot. There we go, that's better. That's better. Because this is going to sit, you know, above the soil by at least that much. In fact, you know, more if you can. I'm not going to trim this off anymore because I can see, when you look down into the centre, I can actually see the new shoots coming up through. And I'll try and show you if I can. If you can, I don't know if you can see down there, but the new shoot, you can see on the other one it's a bit better, but the new shoots are coming up through. So they're almost at the top of that, so I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to cut any more off. So there we go. So most of the roots are intact. It doesn't matter if you cut some of the big bits off, it doesn't really harm the bulb. In fact, it sort of rejuvenates them really, gives them a bit of a tidy up and gets them going. Not a very big bulb, but that's okay. So that's fine. So that's all the waste. Not that much roots, just broke off that little bit, and it's just a little tiny ones have come away, so that's good. So let's discard that and pull that off. I'm sat down. Oops, I'm sat down today because I've got quite a bad backache. I'm not going to bother to put any drainage in the bottom because these do take up quite a lot of space, and you know, the pot, I've got to get this in the pot to that depth. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of soil in the bottom, or mix in the bottom. Actually thinking about it, I might need to, yeah, I think I might need to put something in the bottom. So if you just bear with me a minute. Right, so all I did was go behind me and grab some gravel from the path. So put a little bit of that in the bottom. Just a layer, just to stop the mix from falling through, and then a little bit of mix on the bottom, just a little bit, and then stand the bulb in there like that. So we want it above the pot, and then just backfill really, pushing it down, holding the bulb in place because you don't want that to sink down. Give it a good shake. Some more soil down here. So I'm going to hold the bulb in place, and what I usually do, because that's got quite a massive roots, I hold the bulb and the pot and I give it a really good tapping and a really good shake. And I always make a face, it's like so giving it a good tempering down, because you want it to not sink once you start watering it. You don't want the bulb to sink. You see, so I've got, you know, got quite a bit more soil down there. So yeah. So again, some more bits of bark, just chuck them away, that's found their way in. So I think that will do. That's nice and solid in the pot now, and we've got, you know, probably 1/4 of an inch or a couple centimetres, whatever you want to look at it, of the bulb exposed. So that one is the red one. Whoops. So that goes in this pot. There's that one there when it comes out. So I'll just get rid of the rubbish out of the pot. And then I should put that back in the lounge, ready for it to shoot. So I've got another one here. I mean, I'll do another one. It's as long as you're not too bored. You can always switch off if you don't want to watch the other one. So move my mix down this end so I know what I'm doing more. So the other one is here, so take out the old canes that I had in there to keep them secure. I might find something better actually this year, because last year they were quite hard to keep straight. You know, you're supposed to keep turning them every day, and it's a bit of a mission to remember to turn them every day in order to keep the, you know, the flowers even. Plus you must keep the flowers out of the sun when they do flower, because the flowers will last longer that way. So again, this one's got roots in the bottom. We'll just sort of push them out and then pull the bulb out. There we go. So it's this one. It's a little bit bigger, I think, than the last one. Again, the roots have come up all around the side, which is fine. Oh, and this one's got an orange hue to it, and I think this one's a white and orange stripe actually. So I'll take most of the, like, onion skin I call it, because it is, you know, a bulb is essentially, or an onion is essentially a bulb, isn't it? So to take all that off and break it up as best I can. I purposely let these go dry as well, because I knew they needed to be repotted. So it's so much easier when you know you're repotting something to let the plants or bulb or whatever it is you're dealing with to go dry. Because you imagine if this was all wet now and I'd be mucking about with all this wet stuff, me personally, I would get in a right mucky mess with it, because I am a bit of a mucky worker when it comes to doing things like this. My poor old husband has to do most of the cleaning up. So I'm going to break these long bits off down there. They won't hurt. They say they'll help, you know, get the bulb rejuvenated. And I can show you this one. This one's definitely, you can definitely see that there's some action happening in this one. Hopefully you can see that down through there. So just close that up again. You mustn't get any water down there, by the way, when you water them. That could be quite dangerous. That could cause the bulb to rot. So when you do water them, make sure you just do it around the edge of the pot, or even from the bottom, you know. But in my case, I won't be doing it from the bottom, because I've got the gravel in the bottom, and until the roots go down through that, they're not going to get any water. So, nice clean. It came out the pot really clean. Like I say, that's down to letting them go dry. Stones on the bottom. There's plenty. Even the stones are falling through, the little ones. That's fine. Put a bit of soil in. Put the bulb in. Place it down to where you think you want it to be. You can hold of it. I don't know if you remember last year when I did these, I waited all winter for the leaf to die down, and it just didn't die down. And it was the same this winter actually. I watered them very little. You know, if you stop watering them, essentially the foliage should dry back, but they didn't. It didn't dry, get it out in a minute, dry back. So I ended up having to cut these off as well, and lucky enough I did it just before, you know, those shoots were coming up through, because the last thing I would have wanted is to chop the top of the new leaves off, or even the flower spike when it comes through. Push down a little bit more. So I will give these a little bit of water now, because I can see some evidence of them coming through, and I want to settle down the potting mix. And if I need to, you know, if it drops down considerably, I've got some left here that I can that I can top it up with. But generally I probably think it will be alright actually, because I do overfill my pots, and the reason I fill them right to the top like this is because, you know, once you start watering them regularly, the soil or whatever it is you've potted them in does tend to drop down once you start watering regularly, and that's fine. Then, you know, they're at the right, it's at the right level. So there you go, and this one goes in this pot. Get rid of the rubbish in there. And that's this one, which is quite an attractive one. And I do have a hippie astrum, which is one that Garden at Duenso Rachel has, but that I only got that last year, and it was quite a small bulb. I don't think it's a flowering bulb yet, but I only potted that one last year, so I'm not going to repot it this year. I'm going to leave it, and I'll do that one next year, especially if it doesn't flower this year. I don't think it's big enough to flower. So anyway, so it's quite a long video for me. I'm going to patch a few things together, so it's all going to be in one big long video. So thanks for watching. Please like or dislike and subscribe, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now.